Welcome to the discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, now today was the Sona, 2025 Sona, the last State of the Nation's address of the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Now, before the Sona, what were you expecting to hear? Especially looking at the state of the economy, the elections, and all that combined, what were you expecting to hear the president say?
Well, I expected him to speak on major issues, especially those of recent times. Like, I wanted to hear something about his cathedral. I wanted to hear something about.
But were you expecting? Were you expecting something like? Did you have in mind? Like what people were saying that the president should say, okay, I know I failed you and all that.
Maybe that's why it's a little bit difficult. The Akufo-Addo we know, our president, I doubted that he would say that, so I wasn't expecting.
You were not expecting that.
I actually admire the aura he works with, the way he keeps his head high, like he's confident and doesn't really worry about the naysayers. So
which naysayers? When you say naysayers, it's a okay. Anyway, so now how did you feel when he said, and I quote, "I have left behind a Ghana that is working. I'm leaving behind a Ghana that is working."
Well, according to him, he's leaving behind a Ghana that.
How do you feel about it? Do you feel he's actually? Do you feel he's leaving a Ghana that is working?
No, I don't feel they left a Ghana. Well, we are working. We are still alive, so we are working. But it's they've left us at a point where things are not how they should be. But well, it would have been nice to see them accept or even apologize. There was no apology. There was nothing like that. And to say you left a Ghana that is working, it's as if there's no problem once it's working. Well.
do you feel the Ghana is leaving behind is working? Do you feel
as
that?
I said, I don't feel it's working, but following from all that he said, he feels it's working. So that's what he's going to say.
Were you surprised that he said that even though the New Patriotic Party has lost massively in this year's election, did you? Well, you said you like his aura that with everything he was that confident, but probably I wouldn't have been that confident. See, that's the thing.
So it's so far that's how it's been. You see, from all that is being said, at times you look at him and you see videos come up and the man is dancing, jolly. He seems to have no issue about what we're saying. Nothing concerns him. So maybe that's just how he also is. Maybe
that's how he is.
A bit of arrogance, but well, it's all okay. But I think it's that the fact that we know what is right and what was done right and what was not done right. So today is the Sona. He needs to say something. He has said it.
It's a constitutional requirement.
Yeah, everybody.
So he doesn't have a choice.
Of course, you're not going to stand there and say, "Yeah, I didn't do anything right." So as he said, what he said, it's fine. It's left those behind to judge. They said themselves, posterity is going to be the judge. So.
Posterity will be the judge. I think we've seen posterity being the judge from the last 8 years.
Yes.
Last 8 years, last State of the Nation's address by our president-elect. Anyway, now Akufo-Addo mentioned, or President Akufo-Addo mentioned that Ghana is having an international reserves of about $8 billion. Sorry. Now, how did you feel about that statement?
Well, I didn't hear that part. International reserves.
He said he's leaving behind an international reserve. In fact, if you go online, you actually see it. An international reserve of $8 billion. Do you think? You see, I was kind of taken aback when I saw the $8 billion because we're actually in debt of 742 billion Ghana cedis. When you take it into dollars, then we're having about $50.1 billion in debt. So if you're having $50.1 billion in debt,
you have nothing.
And then he brags about having an international gross reserves of $8 billion. Is it even a net of it? Can't even get to about 5% of the debt.
Reserve is a negative.
Negative. So. But he mentioned it. Do you think our leaders also?
Yeah, that's the thing. So he needed to put up that face and then say something about this. But then those who have the facts, those who know, those who research to find out to know that all this is just crap. Just crap. But then when he said his government has they made the most roads and interchanges in the history of Ghana. I mean, it's okay, God.
Now, what do you hear? What do you feel when you hear of we inherited Dumso and then we solved it? Do you believe that statement? 2016, we are in this country where Dumso ended in 2016. It affected all of us. But in 2016, we experienced a continuous power what? How do you call it? No, it wasn't power outage. Power outage was 2016.
Okay,
yes, we actually didn't have Dumso in 2016. We all felt it.
That was around the time.
Yes, that was the election, the year for the election, and it was even propaganda. Sorry, I don't want to say propaganda, but people even said because it's the year of election, the guy has now tried to solve the Dumso. In fact, we all feel the same way. We suffer for all this while, and then, excuse me, got to the year of election, and then you've solved it. But the MPP keep on mentioning that they came and met Dumso, and then they have solved Dumso. Did they meet Dumso, and have they indeed solved Dumso?
You spoke about the gains they've made in adding to the power of the country and all of that. Well, it's in order, but then you see when they speak, just like the politician would speak, they say it in such a way that when you're listening to them, it feels okay, it seems okay with you, you can run with it. But then if you go back and you try to check the data, the history behind it, you realize that it was just a nice story that was made up, because from the explanations, from the time they've been hitting on this, they inherited them. So there have been explanations and there have been data to show that it was even a problem inherited by John Mahama's government before. And then he came in and he took steps to correct it.
Exactly.
So it's not as if he did something wrong.
So he didn't even start in his tenure.
So he didn't even start in his tenure.
Exactly.
And then he put in place measures to make sure that even when he leaves, there will be something there to care better and work on it. So that is what they inherited. That is why at the time that he was leaving, it was better. And even with that, because we had problems with things that happened in his government, we kept the Dumso became a name. So he left with it, unfortunately. But then they came in, Dumso was sold. And not long ago, this year, this year, there's been a little bit of Dumso.
No, did they come in? They came in and the Dumso was solved, or Dumso was solved before they came in?
Dumso was solved before they came in. But you see, when you're tagged with the name, everybody thinks yes. So John Mahama is Dumso. So once you come in, you are the one who created the Dumso. They came and there was light, so it's fine. That's all they keep on saying. But when you go back and you follow the history, you realize that this is what it is. So you, the discerning person, you don't even need to listen to that and then take it to account, because it's just something, as you said, propaganda. The more people hear it, the more they say it, and then
even with the Dumso being bragged about, where we've seen light outages, and then they are saying DS isn't Dumso. Anyway, there is a debt of 2.7 billion in the energy sector, Ghana cities in the energy sector. In fact, that's actually one reason why we are still experiencing the power outages. And that debt has not been catered for. So do you think it was right for him to brag about it, or he's actually deceiving us with the State of the Nation's address?
He said he inherited Dumso and he's happy that he's going, the lights are on. So when before that debt needs to be cleared, there's no clear, then the lights will go off. By that time, you'll be gone. The next person is the one whose name will be mentioned.
Exactly.
Well, every government, you do what you can and then you leave the rest. But if he could put the story straight, those are the things, that is the State of the Nation address that he's supposed to give. When they go into the chamber, they realize what exactly it is. This one is just for the observers, we the people, to hear and make it look nice for our ears. But whatever it is, unfortunately, the next government would have to deal with it. If not, we'll get back to
these are the things he didn't mention. He didn't mention the cathedral, as you said. He didn't mention the foreign exchange. which he said 1 cedi to 4 cedis, $1 to 4 cedis was an issue. He didn't actually mention the fact that we are actually within the 17 cedis. Fuel prices are high. He didn't mention his rising inflation wasn't really touched on. Now, another thing that he really didn't speak about was the LGBTQ plus,
Yes.
which he said after the suit in court or whatever, he's actually going to assent to the bill. Right now, the court
He
said
still hasn't assented.
no, not at all, and it's been almost a month after.
So I thought by now he's assented to the bill.
Oh no, he hasn't.
The speed with which all the cases were thrown out, I felt there should be no reason for him to not assent to the bill and to save us some money instead of this thing going all the way.
Exactly, because this bill was sponsored. But after this year, after the new parliament is inaugurated, it's zero. They have to begin it all together.
Well, it's like he really wished LGBTQ could come to stay.
Are you asking? Because in fact, when the US vice president came here, she said that I would see. Yeah, no, that is bound to happen was in his interview. But when the vice president came here, he said, okay, it's not yet passed into law. It's not yet a law, but when it gets to parliament, I will see how I can come in.
So he's actually coming in to make sure that someone is done. We thank God that on the other side, Donald Trump is the one in the chair now. So hopefully it wouldn't even be a matter for our concern for now. For the cathedral, as someone said today, that he leaves it to him and his maker.
The deputy minority leader. He said he didn't mention anything. He didn't mention of his promise to God to build the cathedral.
So he leaves it to him and his maker. But we hope that the oral that they've set up will be able to recover some of this, because a lot of money, a lot of Ghana's money has gone into these things, and then all these corrupt practices. If we take it that it's propaganda, everybody say they can't do it. When will we ever take the steps to try to recover any of it? And then, as they are coming, which magic are we expecting them to do? Let's just try it. If it doesn't work, we'll keep trying, and then we'll get to somewhere. No one will say that Akufo-Addo didn't investigate, he didn't prosecute anybody, so same should be done. No, we cannot continue with that one. This time we need to investigate and get something out of it, and we pray and hope that we can do that, so that those monies at least can help us do something.
It can help us.
Yes, sweetie, because the reserves they are all negative reserves.
It can help us. So we're having 8 billion reserves. Meanwhile, we are owing 50-something billion dollars. Sorry, that's quite sad. Now he's the only president that came to meet an IMF program, and they left government with an IMF program.
He had a dandy time.
That's quite sad. Anyway, this has been our State of the Nation's address. Generally, what do you see of the president? How would you rate him as a president who has ruled the country for 8 years? And in the last election, mostly they spoke of the doomsday. In fact, the Agenda 111 project, there are rumors that there are nothing. The buildings are just there. There's really nothing in it. I don't know how true that is.
The one he asked that he hopes they continue.
He actually commissioned 3 of the Agenda 111. It's not easy. But anyway, how would you rate our president, especially looking at the Sona, the election, everything in combination? In fact, the whole government.
The Sona, by the time he's giving the Sona, the review.
Yeah, okay. Now,
well, it's been a hard time. It's been really hard. You know, when he was coming, everybody saw this man to be somebody. There was a little bit of talk about his arrogance and all of that. And these MPP people, that they are natural rooters. Forgive me to say, they have no concern for the people. So it was hard for people to accept. But at some point, looking at the options
people
available,
believed that he's a street guy.
Story. He's been groomed to be a president, and he's tried so many times, and anybody expect that anybody who's tried that hard, when you get the opportunity, then that is heaven. The heaven you're promising is what you're going to give us and more. But then he came, and every day he came into our homes. It wasn't okay, but the second term was what made it worse. It was as if everything they were doing was just a build up for what you come to experience in the second term. And see, they just laid the ground to loot. And then in the second term, we really felt it after
We really
that
felt
COVID.
it, yeah.
Felt it, and everything has been blamed on COVID. But that COVID
No,
brought a lot of funds to the
yes,
country.
don't leave Russia,
Standard-
Ukraine.
Yes,
COVID,
Russia, Ukraine.
don't leave Russia, Ukraine.
Our standard of living has fallen. The price of goods and services has tripled.
You know the deception.
Tripled, came down
Yes.
to like double.
You know the
it's gone
deception
back again.
when there's inflationary prices, food inflation, and then so food inflation for the last month, my last quarter was probably 50%. Probably it has reduced to 20%, and then they are jubilating
Yeah,
about it.
that is how
They deceive us.
no remorse. They just come and tell
If
you.
the food prices have increased
you
to,
jubilate.
if it was 5 cities and it increased to 20 cities, and now it's no longer increasing, there's a 50 cities gap, 5 to 20 cities, and then the next point it increases to probably 25 cities. You say, oh, I've done well. From 5 to 20 cities, 50 cities gap, then the next increase is 5 cities. Say, hey, I've done well. Meanwhile, we are now paying at 25 cities.
So they've crippled us, and they tell us that they left a working Ghana. They've really crippled us. People have lost their jobs. People have lost their businesses. People are trying to survive on the day. Because even savings, people's savings,
Can't save.
People's savings are affected, and that's not a today matter.
We are not even investing. Everyone is scared of investment. Everyone is scared of investment.
You say you leave a working Ghana, but well, we must continue. But this is the worst mistake that we should not do to ourselves.
Again,
we should never ever do it to us. God has saved us, and we should never ever going forward do this mistake to ourselves.
Okay, we should never do this mistake to ourselves. This has been a discussion with the team. Until we come your way again, thank you, Lady Fati.
Thank you.
Bye bye.